Hello, I'm Dr. Alan Gruning, and welcome to your Prescription for Health.
Hello, I'm Dr. Alan Gruning, and welcome to your Prescription for Health. I am so excited that you have joined me here today for our show. If you missed what we were doing last week, we were talking about the enormous problems that we're facing here in this country that some of you are probably dealing with, including obesity and cardiovascular disease, diabetes, cancer, metabolic syndrome, thyroid and autoimmune problems, and fatigue, which seems to be the predominant complaint that everybody seems to have. They're just exhausted and have no energy. And so we're going to begin today to take a look at some a comprehensive plan to treat these disorders and to get you feeling better. Now, I'm going to tell you right up front, what I'm going to ask you to do is not easy. I sit and have this discussion with my patients all the time, and they look at me like, you expect me to do what? Now remember, I'm dealing with people who have fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome and autoimmune disorders and very, very sick people who have been everywhere else and have failed the medical system, and nobody has any answers for them. So they come to me looking for alternatives. And the place that you have to start with people like that, and the place where you have to start to get better from what you have and to keep you on a trail to get to good health, it starts with nutrition. So we're going to begin by looking at nutrition today. But first I want to show you my comprehensive treatment plan that I use for patients to try to get them on the road to better health. I think spiritual life. And you can't ignore any part of that. So we're going to talk also about that. But let's launch right into nutrition right away, because this is going to be the major focus of what we're going to talk about today. It's the cornerstone of the treatment pyramid. No patients get well without changing the way they eat. You have to eat to live and not live to eat. And believe me, I went through that phase where all I wanted to do was eat and go to buffets and eat all this fattening and sweet food. That isn't the way to live. That's just living to eat. Change is hard. You have to take baby steps. And this is what I try to encourage my patients to do. You can't change everything all at once. I understand that. But you have to start somewhere. You've got to start making some changes. So I hope that after today's show, you're going to turn off the TV and you're going to say, you know what? Dr. Gruning was right. I do need to make some changes in my life. I can at least start doing this. And then hopefully we'll be able to start doing some more after that. So, what is the big culprit? Grains are good for you, aren't they? I mean, I used to live to eat bread. I loved bread. Now I understand that bread is a problem. So is pasta a problem. So what is the big deal about wheat? Why is wheat such a toxic substance for us? Why is that the first thing we're going to be talking about? Well, the first cornerstone of your treatment pyramid's cornerstone is not to eat any wheat. It is no longer the grain of the Bible. You know, the entire culture of the nation of Israel in the Old Testament revolved around the wheat harvest and the barley harvest. Wheat is a biblical grain. So what's wrong with it? The problem is wheat is no longer wheat. It's been genetically modified numerous times by numerous companies. This began back in the 50s and 60s. I won't name what companies have done this. I've talked to patients who know a lot about it. But I can tell you that it's been tinkered with in multiple ways. And the whole goal was, it sounded good, was to make wheat disease resistant, to increase the crop grain yields so that we would be able to farm the land more efficiently. It all sounded good. The problem is when you start messing with the genetic structure of something, it changes the way your body uses it, so that now when you take wheat into your body, it no longer acts like the healthy grain that wheat is supposed to be. It acts like a bad carb. It's a sugary, high glycemic food that sends your pancreas into a tailspin, and you secrete a ton of insulin to try to process it. And I'm telling you that wheat is not a good substance for you to be eating. Now, how do you get all the wheat out of your life? It seems to be in everything. Baby steps. You just got to start somewhere with it. So anyway, let's cut to the next slide. So we talked about how it's been genetically modified to increase yield and resist disease. Food allergy, which is really celiac disease, that's when your intestinal tract reacts in a very bad way to wheat, and sensitivities to wheat are very common. It used to be that they were very uncommon. Now it's very common. And the whole rise of the gluten-free movement, you can go to stores now, even like our major groceries chain Publix, and you can find lots of gluten-free things there. 10, 20 years ago, you couldn't find any of that. You had to go to a health food store. This is becoming more common, more of an issue, more of the people are looking for it. And I'm going to tell you that it is a huge issue with most people. You cannot eat wheat. It results in irritable bowel syndrome, malabsorption, weight gain. I know that when I take patients off of wheat, they will come back to me in 2 to 4 weeks and they'll say, Dr. Gruning, I lost a ton of weight, I feel better, I have more energy. Why did this happen to me? I said, because the wheat's not wheat. It's a bad carb that was really a toxin to your system. Now this is very scary. The glycemic index of whole grain bread is higher than sucrose. So therefore, 2 slices of whole wheat bread is worse than drinking a can of soda or a candy bar. So just think about that. It would be better off for breakfast to have a can of sugary soda or a candy bar than to have 2 slices of whole wheat bread. Now that goes contrary to everything you've been taught, everything the food industry and the government has been teaching for the last 30 years, but that is the reality. So what do we do? What does wheat really do to you? It increases visceral fat. It results in inflammation, insulin resistance, and hormone imbalance. If we can cut to the next slide, thank you. So again, it increases visceral fat, results in inflammation, insulin resistance, hormone imbalances. Wheat causes a lot of problems in our body. It also causes blood sugar spikes that are very stressful on your pancreas and your adrenal gland, increasing their dysfunction. There's also something else that occurs called advanced glycation end products, AGEs for short, that result in accelerated aging and a host of diseases that are listed here. So wheat actually causes these diseases to become more prevalent, and you age prematurely. So what's the reference for all this? It's an amazing book called Wheat Belly by William Davis, MD, and I would really encourage anybody who's interested in this subject to get this book, read it, find out the truth about wheat, find out what they've done to wheat in this country, and why it's such a bad thing for you to be eating it. And I hope after this you'll be convinced that you need to get wheat out of your life. There are lots of alternatives. So instead of eating this thing, the wheat pasta, what can you do? Well, you can have quinoa pasta. So I got this at Publix. It's available pretty easily in most stores. And it's made out of quinoa, which is the healthiest grain on the face of planet Earth, grown in the South America, in the Andes Mountains. And it's loaded with omega-3s and fiber and protein and really good things in it. And it also has some corn in it, but there is no wheat in that pasta at all. It tastes delicious. It's fine. It's easily used with any recipe. It comes in multiple forms. So I would really encourage you to look at alternatives. There's also brown rice pasta. Look for alternatives to wheat. But we have to get it out of our life. All right, let's look at the next subject, which is dairy. So I got a picture of the ice cream cone here. Listen, I'm not going to take away your ice cream like totally. If you want to go and have a little bit of ice cream once in a while, I'm not going to kill you for that. I like a little bit of ice cream. But the problem is ice cream, dairy has a lot of bad things in it. So let's take a look at what's the problem. It's cow's milk. Cow's milk is very allergenic. There's many, many people that react to cow's milk. Some of you may react to it. You know people who react to it. But there's a very low level of inflammation that occurs in many people from drinking cow's milk or eating dairy products that are made out of cow's milk. Why is that? Well, it's full of hormones, antibiotics, toxins, unless it's organic. And this includes Soft cheeses, yogurt, ice cream, sour cream, anything that's made out of dairy is not good for you. Now, if you get organic dairy products like some organic milk or organic cheese, that would be better. And also, if you would eat goat's milk cheese or drink goat's milk, that actually reacts in your body totally different than dairy. So if you want to improve your health and feel better and have more energy and have less GI problems, get the dairy out of your life. Let's look at the next culprit, which is fructose. No fructose. Now, I know that the commercials say fructose is just another sugar. Well, I'm here to tell you today it is not. High fructose corn syrup is a toxin. It's very clear when you look at the metabolism of fructose in the body that high fructose corn syrup is a toxin. Well, where did this come from? High fructose corn syrup was developed back in the 70s in Japan. They exported it to this country. We re-exported it back to them. Now they're all getting sick from it, but it's definitely responsible for a lot of the obesity epidemic that we're dealing with in this country. So where do you find fructose? And again, with wheat, it's largely responsible for obesity epidemic. Fructose is in everything. I mean, if you go through your pantry and the refrigerator, you're going to find high fructose corn syrup in everything, especially beverages like soda, sports drinks, fruit juices, sweet teas, processed foods. All of these things have high fructose corn syrup. So this is deadly, and I'm not going to name which one this is, but they're all bad. So a can of soda is like drinking a can of beer. It's terrible for your body. And there are lots of alternatives. For example, I get this at the store. It's just sparkling mineral water with a little natural flavor in it. If I want to have my soda crate, fix satisfied, I can drink this. But clearly, that's a lot better than drinking that. This is a poison. We think that we're helping our kids by giving them these juice boxes. Clearly, the studies have shown that this is concentrated fructose. It's damaging to their brains. We talked last time about how studies have shown that inner city children that are given a lot of these juice boxes wind up with lower test scores, brain damage, all kinds of learning disabilities from the fructose that's in the juice box. God did not create us to be drinking juice. He wanted us to eat the whole piece of fruit. It's okay to eat fruit. I love fruit. But when you juice it into its concentrated form, it's bad. So we really want to be careful about this. Fructose is metabolized in the liver directly to fat, just like alcohol is. So if we look at the metabolism of fructose and compare it to the metabolism of alcohol, a can of soda equals a can of beer. It has the exact same effects on your body as drinking alcohol does. 1 can of soda a day, if that's all you drink, would be 15.5 pounds of fat per year gained, just by drinking 1 can of soda per day, or 1 can of an energy drink, or one whatever that has high fructose corn syrup in it. And all those Gatorades and Powerades, they have all that too. And our kids are drinking tons of this every day. Is it any wonder then why they're gaining weight? So clearly fructose is a problem. We're going to take a break here, and we're going to go and look at some of our sponsors who have been gracious enough to help us with this show. And I want you to learn about them and support them and thank them for putting this show on the air.